So Jehovah's Witnesses, the Bible students, number 2. I was talking about the cross. So I do find it difficult, and blood transfusions. So there's the difference there. So I suppose Bible students are free to celebrate Christmases and birthdays. Lots of Jehovah's Witnesses, disaffected ones, are quite happy to go back to that sort of thing. They get some sort of happiness from it. The cross, of course, they say that maybe Jesus died on a cross. Well, it's venerated by the church. It really is. And it's a weak argument to say that the cross is that Jesus died on a cross. But anyway, people are free to believe what they like. Anyway, my main difference is, firstly, the Bible students had a fabulous leader. Well, they were really international Bible students anyway. But the Bible student groups had a really fabulous human leader who got the truth going. Jehovah used him and blessed him. And he was not only someone who led from the front, produced all these thousands of talks, and he led from the front, and he led with regards to Bible prophecy, and he had all these charts about the pyramids and different things. Now, a lot of his prophecy was, wrong, basically wrong. But what he did what God wanted him to do, what Jehovah wanted him to do. He got the preaching of the good news well established in the world, and about between 5 and 10,000 Bible students, international Bible students, were in existence during World War One, and you think that was all started by a group of students sitting around a table. And of course, he inherited money from his father, which enabled him to set up a printing company. So, an amazing man and a group of people, all the Bible students and all the congregations. The interesting thing is, Bible students today, and some who've disaffected and joined them, not many but some, probably make up between 5 and 10,000 people worldwide. So there's been sort of no progress at all. Whereas Jehovah's Witnesses, okay, probably half the Bible students by 1920 had disaffected. They didn't like the new leadership. They disaffected and became Bible student groups. Some claim that up to 3/4 of all the original Bible students had left Jehovah's Witnesses by 1930. A good number left. But while they were leaving, Jehovah's Witnesses were expanding. By I think it's by mid-1930s, there was coming on to 250,000. So the new leadership, whether you like them or not, was successful. You see, Judge Rutherford, as he called himself, I would call him Brother Rutherford, he was another good leader. He was a good organiser. He was very good at getting civil liberties, not just for Jehovah's Witnesses, but for everybody, especially in the United States. So you need good leaders. If you don't have good leaders, especially with regards to Bible prophecy, Bible teaching and organisation, then the organisation won't move forward. And Almighty God wanted, in his dear Son, who's in control of the congregations, he holds them in his hand, he wanted the preaching of the good news. He wanted his name declared in the world. So having the name Jehovah's Witnesses is really important. You can't knock on someone's door today as a Bible student and not be misunderstood as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. The moment you get the Bible out, they go Jehovah. Now, they may not know a lot about Jehovah, but it's the name, God's name. And that is a very important part of preaching the good news, that people can't say they haven't heard of Jehovah. They can't say they haven't possibly seen those annoying Jehovah's Witnesses on the street corners or knocking on their houses, writing them letters. They can't say it. It's being done, and that's what Jesus wants. Now, okay, there are problems with leadership. when you've got strong leadership, which Jehovah's Witnesses do have, he's got kind of stronger and stronger, and with the use of the internet and television and the web, they've become even more dominant with regards to being the governing body, taking the lead. That does cause problems because it creates autocracy, and any well-organised man-made operation, which that it is obviously, it creates problems. And so Jehovah's Witnesses do have problems. They do have problems with an autocratic, dominating, ruling group. So has it gone too far? There are other videos on that subject. And basically human organisations, and Jehovah's Witnesses is a human organisation like any other. So lots of Bible students say they're overly authoritative, and yes, you're right. But you see, if they had done nothing, they would be where you are, which is 5,000 people across the world not preaching effectively, and some disaffected Jehovah's Witnesses joining you. So there's the difference. Now, the point I wanted to get to, and I better get on with it, is does a human group survive into the new world? Who are the great crowd? Because Jehovah's Witnesses are very clear, they are the earthly group. So my point is, where's your earthly group? Because I've had communications and I'm told the 144,000 are the bride class that go to heaven and rule with Jesus in his government. The government designed to rule over the planet Earth and establish the 1,000-year reign of Christ. So that's understood. Who is the second group, the other sheep? Because Jehovah's Witnesses say the other sheep are the earthly group. The same group, renamed as the great crowd, or the great multitude, or the great company, who come out of the great tribulation and survive when Jesus brings an end to human rulership, whether it be religious, political or commercial. He gets rid of it at a time called Armageddon. When that happens, this great crowd are preserved. This enormous crowd, the Good News Bible says, are preserved and enter a semi-damaged planet like Noah. He got out of the ark and there wasn't much there. He had to start again, but they made a nucleus. And look, we have a world full of 8 billion people because Noah was a survivor. And Jesus said, just as in the days of Noah, so it will be with the return of the Son of Man. So his return means there are human survivors. So that great crowd must be human survivors. The Bible students say that the great crowd are a heavenly group, because in Revelation it talks about them being before the throne. So you've got great crowds, a heavenly group. You've got the other sheep that I believe so they were a secondary heavenly group that weren't good enough to be bride class members. And it's that group that Rutherford identified in 1935 as an earthly group. His only mistake is he said they were an earthly group from when he announced it at the assembly. Because he was still studying the Bible, and he died, didn't he? He was only 64 when he died. So he hasn't provided them an answer, and they seem to not be able to have inspiration with regards to Bible prophecy. There's no moving forward from that point. They're kind of stuck in time, back to the 1900s. And some of them insist on using phraseology that's like 150 years old. So there's a list in there, one of their Bible student websites, which describes Jehovah's Witnesses' beliefs and their beliefs. There's 2 columns. I can't understand what they're talking about. It's all kind of epoch here, and I've got some of the books. My grandmother was around in the 1920s and had Russell books. I've got a few of them. I've got Studies in the Scriptures, and I've got some old magazines. But all these different epoch times, the preaching period, the gospel age, different ages, I find that some of the phraseologies are so out of date, it's difficult to follow. So when they say Jehovah's Witnesses believe this, and then it's not really in a language I can understand, even though it's in English, I don't know. This is it. So there we are. Anyway, take care. If I meet any of you in the preaching work, I'll view you as a brother. In fact, I do have an attitude towards each person I meet in the Bible ministry. I don't believe it's us and them. I think we're all one group of people. We're all Almighty God's children. We're all loved by him. It grieves him to see people potentially throw their lives away. And hence we need to view the people that we meet, whoever they are, as children, God's children. He just wants everyone to be saved. He wants everybody to come to their senses because he loves everybody so much. And we need to reflect that love. And that's why Jesus' second command was so important, because that's something we can do about, isn't it? We can love our neighbour. We can try and do it anyway, because sadly we're all selfish and imperfect, but we can make an effort, can't we? So take care. May God, Jehovah, bless you in your faith and in your love for him, and may he bring the new world. Save us from this crazy behaviour, because Jesus did say that the men would be faint out of fear, because conditions in the world would become so bad, and that's why Jesus would be needed. Take care. Please subscribe if you haven't, and hopefully I'll speak to you again. Bye.